Unit 4, Risk and Return, Lecture 6, Portfolio Theory, Part B. So now we're going to move on to market return models. These are various models that are available to help us with the calculation of returns for the various asset classes. The most common one, and the one we will talk about in detail a little later on, is the capital asset pricing model. We're going to start by looking at a single factor model where the return is going to be dependent on a single macroeconomic factor, M, that affects all security returns, which is a result of unanticipated movements. The error term in this model are firm-specific surprises and what we will refer to in future as diversifiable risk or unique or firm-specific risk. The beta represents the response or sensitivity of an individual security's return to the common factor or the common macroeconomic factor, and it measures systematic risk. In this slide, we are looking at the risk as in variance and covariance of the single index model, and the variance is a combination of systematic and firm-specific risk, what we call total risk. And as we go on, you'll notice that firm-specific risk is also referred to as diversifiable risk, and we can get rid of that risk in the manner in which we construct our portfolio. In this slide, it's just a formula to calculate the correlation, and the correlations will be calculated relative to the market. Looking at the various market return models that are available, the single index model has a number of advantages. It reduces the number of inputs for diversification. It is easier for security analysts to specialize. The common factor M, the macroeconomic variable, affects all firms, and it measures unanticipated macro surprises. And the firm-specific factor, that is the uncertainty about the firm in particular, measures only firm-specific surprises. So you have both the systematic risk and the diversifiable risk in this. So if we look at an example of how the single index model would be applied, the alpha of a stock is 0%. The alpha actually refers to active return, the return that a portfolio manager generates over and above the market. The return on the market index is 10%. The risk-free rate is 3%. The stock earns a return that exceeds the risk-free rate by 11%, and there are no firm-specific factors affecting the stock. They would like you to calculate the beta on this. And beta turns out to be 0.636 for this particular stock or security. And what's really interesting to note is that the market is generally considered to have a beta of 1. So this stock is less risky than the market. This is another example where we're finding the covariance between two stocks A and B. And our covariance is 0.0772. And what we've noted about our covariance is it tells us how the returns on these two shares move together. They're actually positively related to one another. That means they move in the same direction. Now what this slide is trying to do is show you that the portfolio's risk or standard deviation, which is the total risk in the portfolio, is made up of market risk and firm-specific or diversifiable risk. Now, the market risk is undiversifiable, and what this information is trying to convey is that if you have a sufficiently large number of shares within your portfolio, it is possible to diversify away all of the firm-specific risk, essentially turn it to zero.